Well, how are you doing? Good to see you. I'm Todd Duplantis. Welcome to The Road Beyond. Good to have you with us. Good to be back. We are glad that for all of you joining us live on Facebook and YouTube. Of course, we're here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, bringing you the bizarre paranormal paranormal stories, I should say. All the things you don't get in the traditional media. That's what we're here for. My producer and co-host, Scotty Barrett, joining me this afternoon, or evening, I should say. I've got my times all mixed up. It's been a long day, Scotty.
Well,
we lost your picture there, Scotty. We lost your picture.
Spring. Hold on. Hey, there we go. I'm back.
There you go. Yeah, the bugs have got us all.
The bugs have got us, and also this pollen. But we'll survive.
That's right. We got a great show lined up for you for the next half hour. We're going to be talking about the legend of Bigfoot, the Yeti, the Sasquatch has lived on for more than 100 years. You know, there are legends going back to Native Americans talking about Sasquatch. And of course, we're going to get a chance to delve into it tonight. You know, there have been hundreds of videos of this creature, or alleged creature, we should say. You can find it all over the internet. Goes by many names: Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch, even the abominable snowman. Let's take a look at a video that was actually shot in Russia. This is some pretty interesting stuff, Scotty. You found this on the web. Maybe we can roll that and we can talk about it as well, because this video, a bit shaky, is for some reason a lot of Bigfoot videos shaky, but this video in particular.
Oh, and blurry. They're also
blurry as well.
Blurry.
But this one, you can actually see something hopping along, and it looks very much like a primate. Of course, there's the video, and you're going to see a creature. There you go, a creature hopping along through the woods here. And you can see the arms extending. It's got a wide gait, very characteristic of something that looks, shall I say, ape-like. Scotty, what's your take on it?
Did it come out of a zoo? That's the question.
Yeah, is it an escape from a zoo? We just don't know. But once again, this video was shot in Russia. Now, there have been sightings all around the world in the Northern Hemisphere, from Russia to Norway to Canada, mostly in the Northeast, but really all over the North American continent, especially in Alabama. We're going to get to that in a second. Here's a map of the sightings compiled by the National Geographic Society. This is not an isolated set of sightings. It's undeniably extensive. More than 128 sightings in the Missouri state alone, you know, the show me state. Now, there have been many hoaxes. Recently, there was the Blossom Music Center in the Cleveland Woods, an outdoor venue. You've got to check this out. We're going to take a look at this as well. But this was a bit of a spoof, but we'll take a look at these guys and see what they have to say. Let me share my screen here, and we'll do that. All right. Okay, here we go.
Look at this, okay? The legendary Bigfoot was spotted on the grounds of Blossom Music Center, Cleveland Orchestra home. This never seen before.
Lovely upright
video
for a Bigfoot, huh?
Take a look. It shows the creature in action, hiding in the woods, scavenging for food, and eagerly waiting for music to return. Bigfoot seekers.
There you go. Yeah. So that obviously is a spoof that was done for April Fool's Day, but many people take
Cleveland Symphony Orchestra. That's what I'm
promoting the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra. It was a very clever marketing stab. It looked real enough, though, and that's why all these grainy videos of Bigfoot or the Yeti or Sasquatch have been questioned and not believed, of course. With us tonight, we've got a special guest. Welcoming him back to the show, Alabama Bigfoot hunter, researcher, UFO witness, and paranormal observer, Mr. Jonathan Odom, joining us from, I believe you're up in Alabama, aren't you, Jonathan? Let's see if we can get you to unmute your mic.
There yes, Pell City, Alabama, which is on the suburbs between Atlanta, Anniston and Birmingham. It's a good little place. I have to drive about an hour to each place I go to. But it's very active, very active.
Well, you know, I think I mentioned to you last time you were on the show that I spent a lot of time in that area, particularly Chattanooga. So, you know, Chattanooga's, you've got Alabama one way, Georgia one way, Tennessee one way. So it's like a tri-state area. And you told me that area is very active.
Oh yeah, yeah. Around is it Pittsburgh, Tennessee? That's west of Chattanooga. Is that?
I believe
it?
So.
That area over there, because there's a lot of game lands in that whole area. And below Knoxville, and and honest to God, I believe probably every 30 miles there's probably one or two. There possibly could even be more than this.
Right.
And so because I've got several locations in Alabama that'll take me 20 minutes to get to, but I know that my rates of finding something are like 80% because every time I get something. And
now,
so,
you've been searching for this creature, this very elusive creature, for quite some time. And you told us a story. Maybe you can briefly tell us once again about an experience you had with your father when you were very young, possibly seeing something.
Oh yeah, we were fishing for rock bass, and we were up at Bear Creek Lakes, which I found out now that it was some super duper active Alabama area that I don't get to hunt a lot. And we come around a bend, and there was a creature in the water, and I don't know what it was doing in the water. It was just there, and Dad would I can remember the motor coming off, and we're just coasting around it because we did a lot of fly fishing for rock bass. Right. And then it walked right up the bank, and we never thought about it. It's weird that we never talked about it. You know?
You mentioned that last time. It was very strange, but you mentioned that you didn't really discuss it with your father for many years, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And what's weird about that is the first minister that I can ever remember talking about a UFO was a guy that was a good friend of my dad. So it wasn't outside the realm, you know. It's odd,
I think I told you, I may have mentioned this to you years ago when I was around 8 or 9 years old. I grew up in Louisiana, and my family had taken myself and a friend of mine to this family's farm in, somewhat not northern Louisiana, midway through Louisiana. I can't remember the name of the town, but it was a very country area. And my friend and I, we went out to explore like normal 8 or 9 years old. That parents were in the house and all the adults were in the house. It was broad daylight. We were walking on something which I would describe as a cow path, just a dirt path which divided between two homesteads. And I remember he and I looking in the distance, and we saw something very large. The sun was shining our way, so I could tell you it was a very large, dark image, very tall, and it was probably a couple hundred yards ahead of us, but we could see it step right out, look towards us, and in one step, it was across the cow path. It was maybe 6 to 8 feet, so obviously a wide gate. Both of us looked at each other and just, hollered and just ran the other opposite direction. And until you said that with your father, he and I never discussed that. He passed away a couple of years ago, but we never really discussed it since then. We discussed it that day, but we never talked about it since. Why do you think that phenomena happens?
I think with what they were going through with Dad, with the Vietnam War, he didn't go. He got really close to being drafted. It didn't go. And then he had an episode with his heart a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about this friend that I didn't realize he had lost in Vietnam. It was a good friend. Right. And then with us growing up, he was a minister and he worked. And then we spent a lot of time outdoors. Just one crazy thing that happened. Hey, can I ask you a question right quick?
Yeah.
What's up with that mirror over there that you got hanging above that cross over there?
Let's see. The mirror by the cross. It's facing another mirror that's kind of sideways. So I'm not sure if that's the one, but yeah.
Is it an antique mirror?
It is an antique mirror. We actually have several of them. We have one of them that's a full length that stands up. My wife grew up in the Chattanooga area, and her grandparents passed these on to her. And that actually is probably about 100 years old.
Do you have weird things happen?
I have not. No.
Good.
No. Don't get me started. I've had weird things happen, but nothing involving the mirrors. Yes, or maybe.
We have weird.
It's a portal. Hey, you gotta be careful.
Yeah, but that's a very ancient mirror over there. We've got a few of them in this house. Good.
Well, I'm poking fun at you, so hey.
Let me ask you, Jonathan, because last time we talked, and I'm a member of your Facebook group with the Alabama Paranormal.
Alabama Paranormal Bigfoot. There we go.
Okay. I'm a member of the group, but you post a number of videos on your YouTube channel on that, and we're going to play one while we're talking. But you were in the woods and you caught something on thermal imaging. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that. While you're talking about it, our live stream audience is going to be seeing it.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Let's hit play.
So it's playing. It's starting to play right now.
Okay, cool. Yes, that is the one. It's is there a way I can make this bigger just for a second? It's
in a Zoom room. We're kind of restricted.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's the one
on the live stream, full screen.
Okay, this one we were in Hollands. There's a Forest Service road that within that Forest Service road, a 3 square mile area. Last probably year, I've got 16 reports, so I know they're in the area.
And
so
is that lighted thing in the background, that image, that is what you're thinking could be a Sasquatch?
Yeah. And when I was walking off, Richard kept hearing it, and he turned to the right, and he said, "I've got it." And then you can see it kind of moves, and there's a heat signature. And where that's at is a pine thicket. And we tried to get in there, and we couldn't. And then I took the machete and hacked my way in there, and you could see where something had come around. And it was tactically, it was awesome. And so, yeah, I mean, we think we got one. I believe we got one.
When and Scotty can maybe comment on this, but when I've interviewed people who've had experiences with Bigfoot, they say there's a certain sound they may hear, but they also say there's a stench involved. Have you experienced that?
I've experienced the stench maybe in one place in Alabama. And that's maybe once every 3 years. But when I smell it, I know it instantly what it is. It's Bigfoot. And the one that I got on thermal on my YouTube page, I'm sorry I didn't send you that link. I turn and I get him on thermal. And where he's at in the thermal, you can't see that brush. I was holding my thermal and I was looking with my naked eye and I couldn't see him. And I heard a noise behind me. And it was like, there's one behind me. And just like this, when Richard was filming this one, we heard something behind us, but he's at 12 and I'm at 3. And I think what they do is they work in tandem, because they'll be perfectly silent and then a stick a break. You're like, yeah. And it's like, they want you to know they're there sometimes,
If you look at the thermal signature on his video, let's go to that thermal signature on his video. You will see that it is down the center of the body, which is congruent with the fact that the fur covers the arms and the shoulders and shields the thermal, but the front and the belly are open and emits more visual signature under the thermal camera.
And Jonathan, you're saying you're thinking these creatures wander around in pairs. You're thinking they're not necessarily solitary?
I think there is. In Hollands, there's a bad one in Hollands. And I know it's bad because when I'm in that area the last couple of years, there's been times I'd get out and going to start filming in the hot summer, ready to do it, in shorts, tank top, ready to go. And something tells me, get back in the car. And I'll get back in the car or the truck, and I'll leave, and I'll listen. But in Hollands, Alabama, it's like that. But when it's talking about coming back to the stinking part, when I turned that stick behind me, I turned, and that sucker got off thermal so fast, but I still couldn't see him. And that's what's freaky about him, is that would right up on you,
It's like they know, they understand what cameras are. Obviously, humans are dangerous to them, so they are being as elusive as possible. Scotty, we talked about some personal experiences with Bigfoot. You've got one yourself.
Yeah. You got a good one.
Back when I was 14 years old in British Columbia, I lived in West Vancouver, British Columbia when I was young, and I was trying out to be a Queen Scout. They didn't have Eagle Scouts in Canada; they had Queen Scouts. Don't do any DeSantos jokes on me, okay? But anyway, we went up to what's called Black Tusk, and I think we can see that right here. It's in the coastal mountains of British Columbia. We had a 10-hour hike. We went up on a Friday night. We camped and in the morning at the base of Black Tusk, I got out and I looked up the mountain. Now, I've been around black bears and raccoons and grizzly. We used to hike up to Velacoola, and we'd see them mound their catches of salmon on the sides of the river, and because grizzly bears can't eat salmon fresh, they've got to let it cook a little bit in the sun.
Right. And
at night you could see the mounds of salmon glow. So I know what a grizzly bear looks like. And I looked up, about a half a mile away, and there was this, and it was up on its hind legs, which is basically a grizzly attack posture. and it was far enough away. I wasn't too concerned, but I looked at him and he didn't go back down. He went back up over the ridge of Black Tusk on the east side and then turned around and looked at me.
Wow.
I know. And I was 14 years old. And that hunt, and one of the things that I noticed right away, and I thought I was afraid, but I was confused. I was so confused. And, you know, Jonathan, you talk about that experience you had with your dad fishing. You didn't talk about it for years after that. I know that I was so traumatized by this vision or whatever it was. I am wondering, do these creatures have the ability to blast your short-term memory with some kind of psychic connection? We've talked about this with our alien friends, the Greys, and how they talk to us.
Psychically.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that's part of the Yeti or the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch defense mechanism. They blast your short-term memory. I mean, I know that I was confused right away. Right. And the only way you could explain the fact that you didn't talk about it with your dad, Jonathan,
right,
could have been that you got blasted too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, growing up as a Pentecostal kid, a preacher's kid, I saw a lot of the supernatural. And, you know, I guess maybe it wasn't a big deal to him. I don't know. Maybe he'd seen one before. It makes you question, like you said, the psychology of it. It's a deep thing to really think about, you know. But you find it a lot with other reports that I take. Right. A lot of people, it happens with a lot of people, you know.
Well, Jonathan, another thing we talked about last time you were on the show, there's some strange things that go on out in the woods.
All the time.
People disappear. We got national parks where you got hundreds of people that have mysteriously disappeared, and it continues to happen. There are just some weird things that happen in the woods, and you can testify to that yourself.
Oh yeah, I've been on Bigfoot hunt and had a ghost hunt, and I've had a ghost hunt and had a Bigfoot hunt, and I've had a Bigfoot hunt and a ghost hunt, and I've had all kinds of just crazy shit. I mean, I've seen balls of light. It wasn't foxfire. It wasn't any kind of mushrooms. It was just moving around. I've seen negative heat signatures on the thermal, which means I got it white hot. The black hot is just like the negative cold spectrum. I've seen one of them walk across. I've got this on recording. I hadn't showed it to hardly anybody. It walks across the field, and it's like, and I sent it to the people, the people at Pulsar, and they're like, we've never seen this before. And I'm like, me either, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff out there.
But you caught on your camera. Show us this.
Yeah, we want to see. You had something with a UFO or something you couldn't identify. Maybe you can tell us that story. We're going to play that video as well while you're talking.
Perfect. Yeah, so this is good. Okay, cool. Whenever would you go ahead and start?
Yeah. Go ahead and tell us.
We were up at Creepy Mountain, and there's a lake at Creepy Mountain that is very active pretty much all time of the year. When it's really hot and it starts getting October, they get really crazy up there and frisky, and they're real vocal. And that place at the lake was a place that I did all kinds of experiments with sounds and light bars. So a solid week, we were blasting that whole area with horror music noise for like 2.5 hours. Like we were at Guantanamo Bay, and we were trying to piss them off because we would see them come in. I've got video on YouTube. I should have sent this of them coming in behind a log, and I got them on camera. And it's like they don't give a shit. And then one night,
we got to watch our language here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So one night we started doing. I had a police light bar.
Right.
I had the scary music playing, and I've got the infrared, and Richard's got the thermal, and he keeps talking about this dumb girl that is dressed up over here, sneaking up, trying to scare him. And I'm like, Richard, that is no dumb person. That's a creature. And while he's doing that, I'm turned and I have that UFO, the square UFO. And if you can play it, it's got bad language in it because I was like, holy crap, this is really happening.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to play that while you're talking. But you captured something. It was a strange sighting, but it was a square, glowing object.
It was a cube. Yeah. Cube and glowing and moving.
Yeah. And see, in this copy here, Stuart, Scott, you did an amazing part. If you can go to the YouTube video and look at this, it's a lot clearer, and that's what makes it so crazy. Right. Is because it's see-through. You can, and it's So we caught that, and while I'm doing it, I'm like, what the crap? I mean, I was really cussing like a sailor, and I should not have been, but it was blowing my mind. And then Richard's over here freaking out, and then he finally tells me, he's like, dude, I didn't record none of that. And let me tell you something about Richard. He's a great friend of mine, but we've had some arguments, and we did that night, and I was like, golly, but we shoot so much footage. But that UFO has intrigued a lot of people that has contacted me a lot lately. You know,
how many times have we said, Todd, were we rolling in the truck?
Yes. I know. Yeah. I mean, were you rolling on that? Yep.
Were you rolling in? Yeah.
You know, Jonathan, I don't know if you had a chance to see it because I think it happened after we talked last time, but the government released a whitewashed UFO report. They're now calling them UAPs. Did you get a chance to see any of that?
I did. I looked through it. I downloaded me a copy, and it's in my Kindle, just sitting there waiting on me.
You're not going to get a whole lot out of it. We had a rant on that last week, but you won't get a
9 pages of nothing.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I find interesting now is for so many years the government flat out told us there wasn't anything happening, but now we not only know there was something happening. There's been a task force assigned to it, and they've acknowledged the fact that it may or may not be a national security problem.
It may or may not be.
Yeah. May or may not be. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Well, anybody that trusts government to solve a solution to a problem, it's just, I mean, that says everything. So.
Yeah. It was a famous phrase. I'm the government and I'm here to help. Yeah, that's trustworthy. Jonathan, we always appreciate seeing you on the show. And if you're interested in Jonathan, the name of your Facebook group again, they can follow you where?
Alabama Paranormal and Bigfoot on Facebook group, and then Alabama Bigfoot on YouTube.
All right, check him out. Make sure you follow him. He's got some great videos. And if you join their Facebook group, they're always posting some cool stuff. So Jonathan, you're always welcome on the show. When you get some good stuff, reach out to us. We'll bring you back on.
I sure will. And I'm going to just tell you, I'm sorry about Peter. I had developed a friendship with Peter. Yeah. Their backgrounds were similar growing up. And I was shocked, and it's saddening. I said a lot of prayers for his family. It was just, it always is unexpected, I guess,
It is, and I remember talking to him the last time I was, and then went off on a short vacation during Thanksgiving and got the terrible news that he had passed. We all miss Peter, and we hope to carry on the tradition with the show.
Scott, you're doing a great job. Great job, Scott. Great job.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
Jonathan Odom, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So, Scotty, interesting stuff. Always great. That thermal imaging video, that'll get you every time, because that is substantial stuff right there.
You can't deny the heat is there. There is something there.
There's something there, and there's so many unanswered questions about these creatures, so many. We'll have to keep digging into the subject. All right, we're going to shift gears just a little bit. I shared, there was a post that shared on a website, Lon Strickler's phantomsandmonsters.com. You should really visit it, subscribe to it. They've got some great content. Imagine this. You go out in your yard to have a smoke. This happened in Manitoba, actually, just a few days ago. You go out in your yard to have a smoke, and the woman who took these pictures we're going to show you didn't know anything was happening. Now, if you look in the corner, you may not see something there, but take a look at the next picture. It's an apparition, but the lower part of the apparition, the feet of a ghost. So you've got a partial apparition that just happens to appear while you're outside your house having a smoke. There you go. Not much information about this. We know it was shot in Manitoba. We know it was shot by a woman. And apparently she said that she heard a dog bark, and then she snapped a picture. She zoomed into the picture and then saw the partial apparition. I don't know about you, Scotty. If I saw that, I'm out of there. I'm not sticking around. Next.
All right. Jeez.
Yeah, so there you go, from phantomsandmonsters.com. Hey, folks, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. We are known as the Road Beyond Podcast. There's a lot of Road Beyonds out there, but there's only one Road Beyond Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter as well. We're Road_Beyond. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do post a lot of content on there as well, and you can get notifications when we have the show. Scotty, you found an interesting video to close out the show. This one's a little on the comedic side, but getting back to
this is Bigfoot. Let's roll it.
Let's see if we can get it there. Oh, there we go. All right. So here's the deal. You got this little kid here, runs out screaming from the woods. There's his brother.
Mommy, Bigfoot.
Woods. Yeah, they're saying they've seen Bigfoot. You see Bigfoot lurking in the background. Bigfoot runs up to him. And of course, it's dad in a Bigfoot suit. So there you go. Courtesy of TikTok. And ironically, though, Scotty, when you search for Bigfoot, you do find a lot of those videos on the internet, a lot of spoof videos. But if you really do some searching, you will find some things that, if anything, they'll make you think.
Yeah. And that's what we've tried to do tonight with you, is show you things that just don't make sense unless there is something there.
Right. You know, you got to challenge the standard. That's one of our hashtags. Yeah. And find the truth. And that's what we're going to help you do. All right, folks, that wraps up this week's edition of the Road Beyond podcast. Scotty, we'll see you next week.
All right.
All right. We'll see all of you next week. Have a great week.